What's going on, everyone? It's Jason. I'm going to give you my early week one Draftkings analysis, particularly for the Millionaire Maker and large GPP fields. So, what we're going to talk about is this video in particular is going to be quarterbacks. I'm going to do one with running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, and defense. But first of all, I'm going to start with quarterbacks. Now, we're going to start at the top, Tom Brady. Obviously, this is going to be the highest team total on the game with the Patriots and the Texans. But they're going to be, both him and Watson are going to be probably highly owned. Everybody's going to think it's going to go just like last year. But one thing I've noticed is when you have two teams that faced each other the year before and they had a shootout, they're going to analyze that game tape and it's going to be a little tighter. Also, Houston has a lot of pieces coming in, better defense this year. New England has a better defense. Tom Brady doesn't have the weapons that he had last year, and he's still minus Edelman with the suspension. So I don't see this game being as high scoring as people think, and everybody's going to play him, so not something I'm going to look for in GPPs, although I don't want to completely fade Brady or Watson, but it's not my top play. Cam Newton against Dallas. The thing with Dallas is when they have Ezekiel Elliott, they like to play the game really slow, and you're talking about the amount of pass attempts and everything else during the game. Dallas is going to try to slow this game down, especially now they don't really have much of a passing game. A lot of their offense is going to run through Ezekiel Elliott, so it's going to be really, really slow paced. At least that's my concern. Carolina also having major offensive line issues, a lot of injuries on the offensive line, so that could actually, get Cam running for his life and get a lot of yards on the ground. But I just don't see this game being some sort of like mega shootout, so I'm not going to be looking there either. Drew Brees, fantastic matchup against a horrible defense in Tampa Bay. He's not going to have Mark Ingram, so he's going to have to pass the ball more. You can't just depend on Kamara as a every down bell cow back, although Kamara is definitely going to be involved. But he may be involved more in the passing game here, and that's where Drew Brees will be a big play. Also, he's got Ted Ginn, he's got Cam Meredith, and he, of course, Michael Thomas, the best receiver on the team, and he's got Ben Watson, the tight end again. So he's got a lot of options. He's going to throw the ball a lot, and it could be a big game. The only concern is Tampa Bay going to be able to keep up with Fitzmagic on the other side. So then we go to Deshaun Watson. As I said, coming off the ACL injury, a little concerning. I think everybody's going to be playing him. I think it's a highly owned spot. It's one of those where I think I might just go ahead for GPPs and fade and go against the grain and try something else, because I think that this game is going to be lower scoring than people might think. So that's where I'm at on Deshaun Watson, although I can't fault people for playing him, and I would not totally fade him. Ben Roethlisberger against Cleveland. Ben has these horrid home road splits, so he doesn't put these numbers up on the road very much. So that's concerning, although Cleveland's sort of a funnel defense, and by that, they're a reverse funnel defense. They are really good against the run, not so much against the pass. So I could see this in a tournament scenario where you throw Big Ben and Antonio Brown in there, especially probably going to get a lower ownership than usual, especially on Big Ben's case. So I'm not against it, not my favorite play, but definitely something to look for. Kirk Cousins, I want as much Kirk Cousins as I can get against San Francisco, because I think they're just going to roll San Francisco, and I think they're going to just pass the ball to Diggs and Thielen and Cook out of the backfield and Rudolph, and I think he's just going to obliterate San Francisco in this game. So I definitely want some Kirk Cousins here. Phillip Rivers, same concept here. Kansas City's defense is horrible, and the Chargers coming in, they don't have Hunter Henry, so you kind of know where the ball's going to go too. It's either going to Melvin Gordon or it's going to go to Keenan Allen. And I wouldn't be afraid to throw Tyrod Taylor in there as well. So Phillip Rivers definitely going to be a really good play, and I'm wondering where his ownership's going to fall. That's where I'm curious if people are actually looking at Phillip Rivers. I would think so, because this is one of the higher total games on the slate as well. Marcus Mariota, Tennessee at Miami. I've said this before. I do not like playing people in Miami in that nasty humidity in September. Miami has this way of, pulling off these upset type games or just dragging the score down in a nasty, humid environment that they're more used to than their opponent. So I'm not really going there. Russell Wilson against Denver, no offensive line. Much better pass rush with Denver. Bradley Chubb coming in there with Von Miller. So I expect problems for Russell Wilson, although Russell Wilson still has proven that he can put up points even with good matchups. So just not an area I'm going to go. Now, here's one, Andrew Luck. People are going to be scared of Andrew Luck because of the injury, but he really looks like he's back. So I'm not afraid to pull the trigger on Andrew Luck here. And that could be an interesting game. We'll see. I don't know that it'll be a shootout. I think Cincinnati has a decent enough defense to keep them honest, but it is Andrew Luck, and I don't mind playing him here. Patrick Mahomes against the Chargers on the road. First game against a good opponent. I don't know that I'm going here, although I wouldn't be afraid of it. It's still not my favorite play. I think there's the potential for some turnovers here, so that's concerning. I don't think it's going to be like Alex Smith with last year, and I don't think the hype for Mahomes is justified quite yet. Maybe by the middle or end of the season we'll see, but right now I'm just not there. Andy Dalton against the Colts. What's interesting about Andy Dalton is he really hasn't put up great numbers since he's had like additional receivers other than A.J. Green to throw the ball to. John Ross seems healthy this year, and they have a couple other players, and I think Eifert's healthy at tight end finally again. So I think maybe you might see more out of Andy Dalton this year, and he's a definite sneaky GPP play. One of the ones I do like. Garoppolo against Minnesota. I'm not touching it. I think that could be a turnover issue there. I think he's having problems in camp. I think people are expecting way too much after the end of last year, so we'll see here. Blake Bortles, Jacksonville against the Giants. This is an intriguing one because what people are failing to realize is towards the end of last year that Jacksonville offense had to up the tempo because I think in some ways their defense got exposed. Now, I'm just curious where the ball's going to go because you have Keelan Cole, you have Marquise Lee, you have D.D. Westbrook, you also have Dante Moncrief, Austin Seferian-Jenkins, but he has a lot of options in that passing game, and this could be an interesting game because I don't think you're going to just be able to run the ball all day with Fournette because the Giants are going to be able to put up points having Odell back, having Evan Ingram in there, Sterling Shepard, and Saquon Barkley out of the backfield. So Bortles has won many people GPPs. He's someone to look at. One of my favorite plays, 5,600. Alex Smith, Arizona is not one of those giving defenses, so I'm not really worried about it too much in week one, losing Juice at running back. That kind of hurt him, so they're going to have some issues. If they have Jordan Reed back, it's interesting, but it's just not one of my favorite plays for the week. Jameis Winston suspended. Dak Prescott against Carolina. He just doesn't have any weapons. That's my concern there, and it's at Carolina, and I think this ends up being a low-scoring game. I think they lean on Zeke more so than anything else. Tyrod Taylor, Cleveland, Pittsburgh. Tyrod's interesting because Pittsburgh's defense isn't that great, and Tyrod is going to definitely, I think he's going to be pretty good for Cleveland. He's got a lot of weapons there, and especially if they get Josh Gordon back, definitely intriguing matchup, especially for cash games. Tyrod Taylor would be one to start with. I don't know what his upside is in tournaments. Tyrod just has sort of that medium game where it's, the 15, 20 points. So I'm not looking at him for a huge ceiling for tournaments, but for cash, he's not a bad play. Tannehill, no, again, it's that same concept. Tennessee's defense doesn't usually give up a lot. They had a few games last year where they had a meltdown, but I don't think Tannehill's in the spot to do it. I don't think he has the weapons to do it. So in that case, I'm not really going there. Sam Bradford against Washington. I'd be more interested in Fitzgerald or David Johnson in this situation. I don't think Bradford coming off missing a whole season is going to come in there, new offense and everything, and be able to just light it up. Case Keenum against Seattle is interesting, but I think a lot of people are looking at this. This is sort of the trendy play from down here because everybody knows that Seattle's defense is no longer there. So it's an interesting play, but I think everybody's going there. And if you look at what Denver's doing, I think they're going to run that offense kind of slow, and I think they're looking at having that bell cow back with Freeman. So don't expect huge games out of Casey Keenum here. I'm just not. I don't think it's going to be like a shootout type thing. Fitzpatrick against New Orleans. It's interesting. I just think the ceiling is limited for Fitzpatrick. He's just, he's gotten older and he's not really. I don't think he's capable of putting up one of those big games anymore. Flacco against Buffalo. It's interesting. I mean, I'm starting to warm up to it a little bit more. He's got a heck of a upgrade there, wide receiver with Crabtree and John Brown. So I don't know. Will I go wacko for Flacco? Maybe, maybe not. I'm more interested in the running game though for Baltimore in this situation. It is one of my favorite picks. Eli Manning against Jacksonville, because everybody has this perception, even DraftKings has this perception that Jacksonville's defense is lights out, shut down. They're not. They got exposed at the end of last year. The 49ers exposed them. The Steelers exposed them. The Patriots exposed them. Slot receivers, inside, tight ends. You can't really beat them on the outside because of their corners. That's a given. But you can come inside on them, and if you look at what the Giants are trying to do with Odell, with Shermer's new offense, they're trying to get him in the slot more and do these slant routes, these crossing routes and stuff. And that's going to be a problem because if he's doing like what Thielen did last year, think of this, Odell is just that much more talented than Thielen. Eli's not finished. A lot of people think Eli's finished. No, he's not. He's really never had a great running back like what he's going to have. Hopefully he's healthy for week 1 with Barkley. But I'm telling you, this is a sleeper pick. Nobody's going to be on it. But I sure am. And I'm not going to really go into these other quarterbacks because I think there's really nothing else, even if injuries hit. I guess like somehow another Baker Mayfield ended up in the starting lineup. That would be intriguing. What other ones that would be interesting? Josh Allen, if he ends up there, the starter in Buffalo is real cheap. So other than that, I don't think I'd go anywhere down here with any of these quarterbacks. But that's about it for quarterbacks. Later, everybody.